Hello, and welcome back to Navigational Mind. I'm Dr. Toye Oyelese, still here in Kelowna, still fiddling with my microphone cables more than I'd like to admit. Today, we're exploring something I think shapes the very fabric of who we are, but often operates quietly in the background. Direction. You know, direction isn't just some motivational poster. Set your goals and crush them. No, it's more subtle, like a gravitational pull inside your mind. It's what tells you, even before you make a single decision, where things seem to want to move. I find, after all these years working with people, and with myself to be honest, that direction is the internal orientation that sits beneath our choices. If you're stable in your direction, your identity feels stable, almost as if the furniture in your house is exactly where it belongs. But when that direction gets fuzzy or collapses, it's like someone spun you around in the dark. You don't just lose your way, you lose something of yourself. And the trickiest part? We like to think we simply choose our direction. Pick a path, make a plan, done. But really, it's almost the opposite. Direction emerges from the way our whole system organizes itself. It isn't so much about brute force or willpower. It's this emerging sense, like discovering, not commanding, where things want to go inside you. I remember my first winter after moving to Canada from Nigeria. A young doctor surrounded by snow for what felt like the first time, just shuffling to the bus stop at 6 in the morning. I thought I was just homesick, but honestly, what I was really missing was direction. I didn't know what I was orienting my life toward anymore. My choices, what to eat, who to call, what to hope for, felt random. That was my mind, temporarily losing its north. So, if you've ever felt like you lost yourself when your direction dissolved, you're not alone. It happens to all of us, really. Which brings me to, well, maybe let's dig deeper. Let's look at what makes up this sense of direction, and why it can feel so slippery. If you open up the hood of your mind and poke around, you'll see that direction isn't a single thing, it's layered. There's orientation, which is basically your there, the place you feel pulled toward, even if it's fuzzy. Then there's the vector, which, bear with me, I'm not trying to turn this into a physics lecture, just means the energy or drive behind you, the why you're moving at all part. Finally, there's the slope. That's the steepness. How much effort does this climb require, and is it going to knock the wind out of you? I see this all the time in the clinic here in Kelowna. Someone comes in, maybe struggling with what they call laziness. But when I listen a bit longer, I often find they're not lazy. The slope just got steeper. Maybe they lost a friend, or got a new diagnosis, or just had a rough string of weeks. When your mind senses a steepness in the coming path, it's normal to hesitate. The energy to move, your vector, gets overpowered by how daunting it all looks. I used to mix this up myself. I'd hit a rough patch, think, oh, I need more motivation. But really, what had changed was the slope. When you're mistaking a steep slope for laziness, it's easy to spiral into shame or start doubting your basic identity. That's a tough place, because once you lose faith in your direction, the mind's whole navigation system can stall out. I've noticed, for many patients and for myself, that you can spot a real shift in direction, not when people suddenly try harder, but when the slope softens in their mind. Suddenly, energy returns, choices feel clearer, and, as we talked about a couple of episodes ago, with the idea of residence in the mind, the internal voices don't have to shout as much. They know where the house is headed, so to speak. Let's pivot a bit here. What actually happens when direction disappears? Why do things feel so flat or foggy when we lose it? And what's actually going on? I think everyone's felt that moment. Maybe you open your eyes and just feel, well, blank. There's no spark, maybe a little fog, like your sense of who you are is suddenly paper thin. That's usually not failure. More often, it's a sign that your orientation has slipped. Your mind's compass needle is spinning, but hasn't locked onto anything yet. The trouble is, when direction dissolves, our inner residents, those parts of the mind we talked about in a previous episode, can get really loud. Conflicted, maybe pushing you in different directions, all hoping to restore some sense of orientation. It's easy to start criticizing yourself. Why am I so unmotivated? Am I broken? But really, it's just the system looking for a new North Star. Confusion isn't a failure, it's a search. So how do you strengthen direction? Well, part of it is learning to listen to those faint impulses. A leaning to try, say, a new food, or to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Sometimes it's about clearing away the false anchors, the stuff you thought gave you purpose, but doesn't actually pull you anymore. And sometimes, as we explored last time with friction, it's about tuning in. Because friction in the mind isn't just annoyance, it's a signpost. Listen, and it might hand you a clue about a possible orientation. There's a tool I call the navigation loop. Articulate your leaning, act on it, even if barely, reflect on how it felt, then see if you gravitate the same way next time. It's kind of like, okay, this might sound odd, but picture a magnetic field. You can't see it, but you can sense where it pulls. Direction emerges from movement. You can't just sit and wait for clarity. Honestly, even I still go through this. There was a winter a few years back. I nervously double-checked a patient's diagnosis. My mind was spinning, not because I was incompetent, but because I was in a new kind of terrain. That friction, that restlessness, was my system looking for a new orientation, not evidence that I'd failed as a doctor. So maybe this week, if you notice the direction dimming, step back. What small leaning could you articulate inside yourself? What false anchor could you quietly let go of? And where is the friction pointing you? If you could lean just 5% in any one direction, which way would you tilt? Remember, direction organizes who we become. It's about orientation, not certainty. And next time, we're going to talk about how to actually articulate these leanings you find, what it means to put words to the shape of the self as it emerges. Until then, keep navigating gently. I'll see you next time.